Part 1. The Rescue. The smell hit Kivrex first. It always did in places like this. Sweat, fear, and desperation mixed together in the recycled air of Refuge Point's lower markets. The Veltharian merchant pulled his cloak tighter around his insectoid body and tried to blend into the crowd. He hated coming down here, but business was business, and sometimes the best deals were found in the worst places. The auction hall buzzed with activity. Dozens of species crowded around the central platform, their credits ready, their morals questionable. Kivrex had come looking for cheap labor contracts, nothing more. Legal ones, of course. He told himself that repeatedly as he pushed through the crowd. "Next lot," the auctioneer barked. His voice echoed through speakers that crackled with age. 3 specimens from the outer territories. Good condition, mostly. 3 figures were dragged onto the platform. The first 2 looked broken already, their eyes empty and bodies slumped. But the third one was different. This one fought. Even with chains on his wrists and ankles, even with bruises covering his face, this one kept struggling. "Let go of me," the creature shouted in a language Kivrex's translator struggled to process. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" The guards hit him. He went down but immediately tried to stand again. The crowd laughed. Kivrex didn't. Something about those eyes stopped him. He had seen many slaves before, had seen that look of defeat that came when hope died. This creature had no defeat in his eyes, only rage and something else, something that looked like certainty. "What species?" someone in the crowd called out. "Says here it's a human," the auctioneer replied, checking his datapad. "From a planet called Earth." Caught him sniffing around the outer rim. His ship wasn't much, but the equipment was valuable. Already sold that. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Kivrex had heard of humans. New members of the Galactic Council, barely 20 years in space. They came from some death world in a distant arm of the galaxy. Dangerous planet, dangerous creatures, but supposedly civilized now. Supposedly. Starting bid, 300 credits for the lot, the auctioneer announced. The human on the platform was still shouting, still warning them. "You don't understand. I'm not alone. They will come for me. Earth will come." More laughter from the crowd. Earth, a newcomer planet making threats. How amusing. Kivrex found himself moving forward. He didn't know why. He had enough problems without adding more. His cargo ship needed repairs. His crew needed payment. He didn't need slaves, didn't want them. But those eyes, that determination. Something in his thorax ached when he looked at the human. 500 credits, Kivrex heard himself say. The crowd turned to look at him. The auctioneer smiled, showing too many teeth. 500 from the Veltharian. Any other bids? Silence. Who wanted to pay that much for an unknown species and 2 half-dead others? Sold. To the merchant in the back. Kivrex paid quickly, wanting to leave before he questioned his own sanity. The guards brought the 3 slaves to him, chains rattling. Up close, the human looked even worse. Blood dried on his forehead. His clothes were torn, but his eyes, those strange dual-colored eyes, locked onto Kivrex with burning intensity. "Thank you," the human said quietly. "You just saved your own life." "What?" Kivrex blinked all 4 of his eyes in confusion. "Get us to your ship, quickly. We don't have much time." Kivrex wanted to argue, wanted to ask questions, but something in the human's voice made him obey. He led them through the market, through the crowds back to his ship docked at the station's outer ring. Once inside, he locked the doors and finally took a breath. "Okay, explain," Kivrex demanded. "What did you mean back there?" The human held up his chained wrists. "Can you remove these first? Please?" Kivrex hesitated, then pulled out his tools. The locks were cheap and broke easily. As soon as the chains fell away, the human rubbed his wrists and then did something unexpected. He smiled. "My name is Tae-hyun," the human said. "I'm a scientist from Earth. I was studying a nebula 3 systems away when pirates attacked my ship. I've been in their hands for 2 weeks." 2 weeks? Kivrex helped the other 2 slaves free themselves. "Why didn't you tell the council? Why didn't your people look for you?" "They will," Tae-hyun said with absolute confidence. "That's what I was trying to tell those idiots. I have a beacon implant. Every human who goes into deep space has one. It's been transmitting my location and biometrics this whole time. Earth knows exactly where I am and exactly what happened to me. A cold feeling spread through Kivrex's body. And Earth has very specific laws about citizens being harmed by foreign entities. Taehyun moved to Kivrex's communication console. May I? I need to send a message. Let them know I'm safe now. Maybe it will help. Kivrex nodded, still trying to process everything. Taehyun's fingers moved across the controls with practiced ease. He sent a short message, then leaned back. There. I told them you rescued me. I told them you're a friend. Will that matter? Kivrex asked. Taehyun looked at him with those intense eyes. I hope so, for everyone's sake. They didn't have to wait long. Within 3 hours, Kivrex's console lit up with an incoming message. Priority channel, military encryption. The symbol that appeared on screen was unfamiliar to him but somehow threatening. A blue sphere wrapped in olive branches. Earth's flag. Taehyun opened the message. A single word appeared on the screen, glowing in harsh white letters. Coordinates. What does that mean? Kivrex asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Taehyun's face had gone pale. It means my sister received my message. It means Earth's military is already moving. It means... He paused, swallowing hard. It means I need to send them more information before this gets worse. Worse? Kivrex felt his mandibles clicking nervously. How could it get worse? Taehyun started typing rapidly. You don't understand. You saved me, which is good. But someone hurt me first. Someone took me, beat me, sold me. Earth doesn't forgive that. Ever. But you're safe now, Kivrex argued. You're fine. Why would they still be angry? The human stopped typing and looked at him. In that moment, Kivrex saw something that made his blood run cold. Not anger, not hatred. Something far more frightening. Certainty. Because on Earth, we have a saying, Taehyun said quietly. Touch one of us, you touch all of us, and when you touch one human, you don't just make an enemy. You make 8 billion enemies. The console beeped again. Another message. This time it was longer. Taehyun confirmed safe. Rescue team dispatched. Perpetrators will be found. Justice will be served. No negotiation, no mercy. Earth does not forget. Kivrex read the message 3 times. His translator must be malfunctioning. This couldn't be real. This is a joke, yes? Some human humor? Taehyun's expression said it was no joke. Outside, through the ship's window, Kivrex saw something that made his heart stop. Ships were arriving at Refuge Point. Big ships. Military ships. And they all bore that same symbol, that blue sphere wrapped in olive branches. Earth had arrived. And they had not come to talk. Kivrex had saved a human. He thought it was a simple act of kindness. He had no idea he had just witnessed the beginning of everything changing. Part 2. The Ripple Admiral. Hai Rin stood on the bridge of the ESS Indomitable, watching the holographic display with cold eyes. 3 fleets, 47 ships, 18,000 personnel, all mobilized in less than 48 hours. All for one man. Status? She asked, her voice calm despite the magnitude of what they were doing. 3rd Fleet in position around the target sector, Admiral. Her tactical officer reported. 5th Fleet holding at Jump Point Delta. 7th Fleet completing deployment now. Good. Hai Rin pulled up the file on her personal screen. Taehyun's file. 26 years old, scientist, no military training. Just a curious kid who wanted to study stars. And someone had dared to hurt him. Her communication officer looked up nervously. Admiral, the Galactic Council is demanding to speak with you. They're calling this an illegal military deployment. Illegal? Hai Rin allowed herself a small, cold smile. Tell them I'll speak with their ambassador in exactly 1 hour. Not before. On Refuge Point, Kivrex watched the ships arrive with growing horror. He counted at least 15 now, and more kept appearing. Each one was massive, sleek, and obviously built for war. The station's authorities were panicking. Emergency broadcasts filled every channel. warning all vessels to remain calm, to stay in place, to not provoke the humans. Taehyun, Kivrex said carefully. Can you explain to your people that this is unnecessary? You're safe. I'm taking you home. There's no need for all this. Taehyun sat at the communication console, his hands shaking slightly as he typed. I'm trying. I'm telling them everything. But you need to understand something, Kivrex. This isn't about me anymore. This is about principle. What principle? Kivrex demanded. What principle requires 3 fleets? Before Taehyun could answer, the console chimed. A new message. This time it was a video call. A woman appeared on screen. She looked like Taehyun. Same eyes, same determined expression. But where Taehyun looked scared, she looked furious. Taehyun, the woman said. Her voice was tight, controlled. Are you hurt? Jia, Taehyun breathed. I'm okay. This merchant, Kivrex, he bought me from the auction and freed me. He's a good person. Tell them to stand down. Jia's eyes moved to Kivrex. He felt like he was being examined by a predator deciding if he was prey. Kivrex, thank you for saving my brother. Earth owes you a debt. Kivrex relaxed slightly. Then please call off your ships. There's no need for... However, Jia continued, cutting him off. Someone hurt him first. Someone took him from his ship. Someone beat him. Someone sold him like an object. That debt will be paid in blood. But he's safe now. Kivrex insisted now, Jia agreed. But for 2 weeks he wasn't. For 2 weeks my little brother suffered. And Earth does not forgive that. Taehyun leaned forward. Jia, please. Don't do this. I'm fine. Let's just go home. His sister's expression softened for just a moment. I can't, little brother. You know I can't. The order came from the top. The president herself authorized this. When they took you, they declared war on Earth. They just didn't know it yet. The call ended. Kivrex stared at the blank screen, trying to process what he had just heard. Your sister seems intense. She's a lieutenant commander in the defense force, Taehyun said quietly. And she's right. I knew this would happen. Every human knows. We learn it from childhood. We protect each other. Always. No matter what. At the Galactic Council headquarters, Ambassador Dongmin faced a room full of angry aliens. The council chamber was circular, with representatives from hundreds of species arranged in rising tiers. At the center stood Dongmin, alone, calm. This is unacceptable, Speaker Velthon roared, his reptilian features twisted in rage. You cannot deploy military forces without council approval. This is a violation of every treaty Earth has signed. Dongmin waited for the chamber to quiet down. When he spoke, his voice carried clearly to every corner. Speaker Velthon, honored council members, Earth has deployed defensive forces to recover one of our citizens who was illegally detained, brutalized, and sold into slavery. We have violated no treaties. Defensive forces? Another council member shouted. You've sent 3 fleets. Yes, Dongmin agreed. 3 fleets to ensure the safe recovery of 1 human. Does that seem excessive to you? Perhaps. But let me be clear about something. Every human life is precious to Earth, every single one. We will expend whatever resources necessary to protect our people. Velthon slammed his tail against the floor. This is about 1 individual. 1 person in a galaxy of trillions. You're threatening war over... Finish that sentence, Dongmin interrupted, his voice suddenly cold. Please tell me how little 1 human life matters. Tell me how we should simply accept that our people can be kidnapped and enslaved. Tell me how we should negotiate with those who brutalize the innocent. I'm listening. The chamber fell silent. Dongmin continued. Earth has prepared a simple demand. The organization responsible for Taehyun's capture, the ones who call themselves the Syndicate, will surrender every individual involved in this crime. They will do so within 72 hours. If they comply, they will face justice through proper legal channels. If they do not comply, we will extract them by force. You're declaring war on the Syndicate? Someone asked. We're declaring justice, Dongmin corrected. The Syndicate chose to target a human. They chose violence. We are simply responding. And let me be clear, this is not negotiable. We are not asking permission. We are informing you of our intentions out of respect for this council. Velthon leaned forward. And if we forbid this action? If we vote to stop you? Dongmin met his gaze without flinching. Then Earth will be very disappointed in the council. But we will proceed anyway. Some things are more important than politics. Some things are more important than diplomacy. The safety of our people is one of those things. In the Syndicate's headquarters, a very different conversation was taking place. Lord Krathex, a massive being covered in scales and scars, laughed as he read the human ultimatum. They want us to surrender? He asked his assembled officers. These newcomers, these upstart primates, they think they can threaten us? His second-in-command looked less amused. Lord Krathex, the reports say they've deployed significant forces. Perhaps we should consider what? Krathex roared. Backing down? Showing weakness? The Syndicate has operated for 300 years. We've faced down empires. What are humans? Nothing. A death world species that got lucky and found space travel. They'll make noise, maybe attack a few of our outer stations, then they'll realize they're outmatched and slink home. And if they don't? The officer asked quietly. Krathex smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Then we'll teach them a lesson about threatening their betters. Send a message to our fleets. If any human ships cross into our territory, destroy them. Show these children what real power looks like. Back on the Indomitable, Hyarin received the report of the Syndicate's response. She read it once, then deleted it. Tactical, she said calmly. Broadcast the following message on all frequencies. I want every ship, every station, every planet in this sector to hear it. Ready, Admiral. Hyarin stood, her hands clasped behind her back. To those who harmed Taihyun, to those who took him, beat him, and sold him. You touched one human. You thought he was alone, helpless, insignificant. You were wrong. Taehyun is not one. He is one of 8 billion. And when you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. You have 72 hours to surrender. After that, we stop asking. After that, we come for you. And we do not stop until justice is served. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive. Earth keeps its promises. The message echoed across the stars. And the countdown began. Part 3. The storm breaks. The 72 hours passed in tense silence. The galaxy held its breath. Would Earth really attack? Would the Syndicate back down? Kivrex watched the countdown on every news channel. Taihyun sitting beside him, both waiting for the inevitable. When the timer hit 0, nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then everything happened at once. 47 locations across 12 systems. Syndicate warehouses, slave markets, command centers, and supply depots, all hit simultaneously. The galaxy's communication networks lit up with emergency broadcasts, all saying the same thing. The humans had struck. Captain Bo-Ra led her team through the corridors of Station Theta 9, the largest slave market in the sector. Her armor was black, covered in sensors and weapons. Her team moved like shadows, fast and silent. They had trained for this, practiced it thousands of times. Every human soldier learned the same lesson. When someone hurts your people, you respond with overwhelming force. 3 guards ahead. Her scanner operator whispered. Standard weapons. They don't know we're here. Stun rounds, Bo-Ra ordered. We're not here for them. We're here for the slaves. The guards dropped before they could raise an alarm. Bo-Ra's team moved through them, heading for the holding cells deeper in the station. They had blueprints, provided by intelligence operatives who had infiltrated weeks ago. Earth had been planning this not for Taihyun specifically, but for any scenario where their people were harmed. They were always ready. The holding cells held over 200 beings. Not just humans, Bo-Ra noted. Dozens of species, all caged, all terrified. Some were children. Everyone stay calm, Bo-Ra announced, her translator broadcasting in multiple languages. We are the Earth Defense Force. We're here to free you. All of you. A Veltharian in the corner, similar species to Kivrex, stared at her in confusion. But you're human. Why would you free us? We're not your people. Bo-Ra began cutting the locks on the cages. Slavery is wrong, period. We're not just here for humans. We're here to end this. All of it. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human strike teams hit their targets with precision. They disabled security systems. They freed captives. They captured Syndicate personnel alive whenever possible. The galaxy watched in shock as humans demonstrated capabilities no one knew they possessed. On the bridge of a Council observation ship, Dr. Yoon Seo documented everything. She was a military psychologist assigned to explain human actions to the confused alien species watching. How are they doing this? A Council observer asked. The Syndicate is massive. They have armies, fleets, defenses. How are humans just walking through them? Yoon Seo pulled up tactical displays. Because humans prepare, we train. We plan for every possibility. But most importantly, we understand something most species don't. What's that? Motivation. Yunseo pointed to a screen showing Bora's team. See that soldier? She has a brother in the science division. He could have been Taehyun. Every human soldier out there is fighting for someone they love, someone they know. That's not just military action. That's personal. The Syndicate tried to fight back. They sent fleets to intercept human ships. They activated defense platforms. They called in every ally and mercenary they could pay. None of it mattered. Human ships moved like nothing the galaxy had seen before. They used unpredictable patterns, coordinated attacks, and tactics that seemed impossible. A Syndicate cruiser would target a human destroyer, only to find 3 more appearing from different directions, having used the planet's gravity to slingshot around into perfect firing positions. They're fighting like they're insane, a Syndicate commander screamed into his communication system. They have no regard for standard engagement protocols. His tactical officer looked pale. Sir, I don't think they're being reckless. I think they're just better than us. Much better. On Refuge Point, Kivrex watched the broadcasts in horror. The humans were winning. Not just winning, dominating. Within 36 hours of the deadline expiring, the Syndicate had lost 40% of their infrastructure. How? Kivrex asked Taehyun. How are your people doing this? The Syndicate has been operating for centuries. They're experienced. They're powerful. Taehyun watched the screen where Jia was being interviewed by a galactic news network. His sister looked calm, professional, dangerous. Because we learned, Taehyun said quietly. Earth's history is full of war. Terrible, brutal, devastating wars. We almost destroyed ourselves dozens of times. But we learned from every conflict. We studied every battle. We took the lessons written in blood and turned them into doctrine. When we finally left Earth, we brought all that knowledge with us. But you were supposed to be peaceful, Kivrex said. You joined the council as peaceful members. We are peaceful, Taehyun corrected. We don't want war. We want cooperation, trade, friendship. But being peaceful doesn't mean being helpless. We are peaceful because we choose to be, not because we have to be. There's a difference. On the screen, Gio was answering questions from a Draconid reporter. Isn't this response excessive? 1 human was harmed. You've mobilized your entire military. Gia's expression didn't change. If we don't respond to 1 human being harmed, then we're saying human lives don't matter. We're saying it's acceptable to hurt us. That's not a message Earth will ever send. Every human matters. Every human life has value, and we will protect our people with everything we have. But what about proportional response? What about diplomacy? We tried diplomacy, Gia said coldly. We gave them 72 hours to surrender peacefully. They refused. They laughed at us. So now we show them what happens when you laugh at Earth. The Syndicate, growing desperate, made a fatal mistake. They attacked a human civilian transport, the Star Dancer, carrying 300 colonists to a new world. The ship was unarmed. It never had a chance. The Syndicate destroyer fired without warning, turning the transport into debris. When the news reached Admiral Hirin, her face became stone. Tactical new orders. All fleets advance. Full assault. The Syndicate wanted to escalate? We'll show them escalation. The Galactic Council emergency session was pure chaos. Representatives screamed at each other. Some demanded Earth stop the assault. Others supported human actions. A few suggested military intervention to protect the Syndicate. Ambassador Dongmin listened to it all with a calm expression. When he finally spoke, his voice cut through the noise like a blade. The Syndicate just murdered 300 human civilians. 300 people who had nothing to do with this conflict. 300 innocent lives. Children, parents, elderly, all gone. And some of you want to protect the ones who did this? We want to prevent more bloodshed, Felthon shouted. Then I suggest the Syndicate surrender, Dongmin replied. Because Earth's forces are about to demonstrate what happens when you murder our civilians. The human fleets converged on Syndicate homeworlds. Not to destroy them, but to blockade them. Every ship going in or out was stopped. Every supply line was cut. Every communication was monitored. Earth wasn't trying to kill the Syndicate. They were trying to strangle them. Why not just destroy their worlds? Kivrex asked Taehyun as they watched the deployment. Your people could do it, because that would make us monsters, Taehyun replied. We want justice, not genocide. We want the people responsible to face trial. We want the galaxy to see that Earth follows its own rules. We're not conquerors. We're not murderers. We're just absolutely committed to protecting our people and ending slavery. A message came through to Kivrex's ship, from Gia. She wanted to speak with him directly. When her face appeared on screen, she looked tired but determined. "Kivrex," she said, "thank you again for saving Taehyun. Earth will not forget your kindness." "I did what anyone should do," Kivrex replied, "but most didn't," Gia said. "Most walked past. Most ignored him. Most let it happen. You didn't, that matters. When this is over, Earth would like to offer you a position as a liaison officer. We need more voices like yours in the galaxy." Kivrex was stunned. "I'm not anyone special." Gia smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. "You saved my brother. That makes you very special to me. Think about it." The call ended. Outside, human ships continued their blockade. The Syndicate was trapped, their empire crumbling, their allies abandoning them. And Earth had done it all in less than a week. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humans were not just another species. They were something different. Something determined. Something dangerous when provoked, and they had only just begun. Part 4. The lesson: the Syndicate's military collapsed in 3 weeks. Not destroyed, but defeated, broken. Their ships surrendered or fled. Their stations went dark. Their leadership went into hiding. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humans systematically dismantled an organization that had operated with impunity for 3 centuries. But what shocked observers most wasn't the military victory. It was how humans achieved it. In the Draken system, human forces surrounded a Syndicate stronghold. Inside were 1,000 soldiers and, intelligence suggested, 500 civilian workers. The Council sent peacekeepers to prevent a massacre. When the Council ships arrived, they found human forces waiting patiently outside the stronghold's shields. Captain Bora met the Council commander at a neutral station. "Why haven't you attacked?" the commander asked, confused. "You have overwhelming force." Bora pulled up a holographic display. "Because there are civilians inside. We've been broadcasting for 3 days, offering safe passage to anyone who wants to leave. 200 have taken the offer so far. We'll wait for the rest. But your orders?" "Our orders are to capture Syndicate personnel and end slavery," Bora interrupted. "Not to murder civilians. We have time. We're patient. The blockade ensures they can't escape. Eventually, they'll either surrender or the civilians will evacuate. Then we'll go in." The Council commander stared at her. "You're willing to wait? For how long?" "As long as it takes," Bora said simply. "Human lives are precious. That includes Syndicate civilian lives. We're not here to be monsters. We're here to be better." Kivrex had become an unofficial translator between humans and the wider galaxy. His ship had been granted special clearance, allowing him to move freely through both human and Council space. Taehyun traveled with him, explaining human philosophy to curious aliens. At a neutral station, they met with a group of journalists from various species. One, a Veltharian like Kivrex, asked the obvious question. "Taehyun, why is Earth doing all this? You're safe. The Syndicate is defeated. Why not stop?" Taehyun looked at Kivrex before answering. "Because it's not about me anymore. It never really was. When the Syndicate took me, they revealed something the galaxy needed to see. They revealed that slavery still exists, that sentient beings are still bought and sold, that the Council, for all its talk of peace and justice, has allowed this to continue. But surely the Council didn't know," another journalist argued. "Didn't know." Taehyun's voice hardened. Or didn't care. How many species on the Council knew about the Syndicate? How many looked the other way because it was convenient? Because it was profitable? Because the slaves weren't their people? Silence fell over the room. Taehyun continued. "Earth researched this. We have records going back decades. Hundreds of complaints filed with the Council about Syndicate activities. Thousands of missing persons reports. Evidence of slave markets operating openly. And what did the Council do? Nothing. Because investigating would be difficult. Because intervention would be costly. Because it was easier to ignore the problem." A human woman entered the room. Kivrex recognized her from broadcasts. Ambassador Subin, Earth's chief negotiator. She looked around at the gathered journalists. "Taehyun is right," Subin said. "Earth has compiled extensive evidence. We're presenting it to the Council tomorrow. We're going to show them exactly how much they knew and exactly how much they ignored. And then we're going to ask them a simple question. Are you going to help us fix this, or are you going to remain complicit?" The next day, the Council chamber was packed. Every representative was present. Even those who usually sent deputies attended personally. They all wanted to see what Earth would present. Ambassador Dongmin stood at the center of the chamber. Behind him, holographic displays showed documents, recordings, testimonies. Decades of evidence. Mountains of it. Honored council members, Dongmin began. Today, Earth presents evidence of systematic failure, not just by the syndicate, but by this council. You all claim to stand for justice, for peace, for the protection of sentient life. Yet this evidence shows otherwise. The displays began playing recordings, distress calls from captured ships, pleas from families searching for missing loved ones, reports of slave auctions happening in council space, all filed with proper authorities. All ignored. Complaint number 4782. Dongmin read from one document. Filed by the Veltharian Trade Guild, reporting disappearance of 17 merchant crews in Sector 9. Response from Council. Insufficient evidence to investigate. He pulled up another. Complaint number 6291. Filed by the Draconid Ministry of Justice, requesting action against suspected syndicate operations on Outpost Gamma. Response from Council. Matter under review. Status pending for 12 years. The chamber was silent. Dongmin continued. Document after document, each one showing council failure. Not just one or two cases, thousands of them. Earth has a question for this council, Dongmin said finally. Did you not know about the syndicate? Did you not know about the slavery? Did you not know about the suffering? Because if you didn't know, you're incompetent. And if you did know and did nothing, you're complicit. Which is it? Speaker Velthon stood, his scales flushed with anger or shame. It was hard to tell. This is unfair. The council deals with thousands of issues. We can't address everything. But you can address slavery, a new voice said. Everyone turned. A woman in military uniform walked into the chamber. Admiral Hiren. She shouldn't have been there, but no one tried to stop her. You can address slavery, Hiren repeated. Because slavery isn't a small issue. It's not a minor problem. It's fundamental. It's a moral absolute. Either you believe sentient beings have rights or you don't. There's no middle ground. Admiral Hiren, Velthon said carefully. This is a council session. You have no authority here. I have every authority, Hiren replied calmly. Earth is a council member. We have the right to speak. And right now we're speaking for every being who was enslaved while you did nothing. She walked to the center, standing beside Dongmin. Earth has a proposal. We call it the Taehyun Accords, named for the man whose suffering brought us here. It's simple. Slavery is now a galactic crime. Any species, any organization, any individual involved in slavery will face justice, and Earth will enforce this, with or without council approval. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted, some in support, most in outrage. How dare Earth dictate terms? How dare they threaten the council's authority? Hiren waited for the noise to die down. When she spoke again, her voice carried to every corner. You can support these accords or you can oppose them. But understand this. Earth will enforce them regardless. We've demonstrated our capabilities. We've demonstrated our resolve. The only question is whether the council wants to be part of the solution or remain part of the problem. On his ship, Kivrex watched the broadcast with Taehyun. Your people are making enemies, he said quietly. Some council members will never forgive this. I know, Taehyun replied. But some things are more important than being liked. Some things are more important than politics. My people were slaves once on our own world. We fought and died to free ourselves. We swore we would never let it happen again to anyone. We meant it, a message came through, from the Draken system. The Syndicate stronghold had surrendered. All civilians evacuated safely. Syndicate personnel in custody. No casualties on either side, see? Taehyun said. That's what humans do. We could have destroyed that stronghold in minutes. Instead, we waited. We protected the innocent. We did it right. Back in the council chamber, voting began. Some species supported the accords immediately. Others hesitated. A few opposed. But slowly, one by one, they voted in favor. Not because they fully agreed. Not because they loved Earth's methods. But because they couldn't argue with the results. The syndicate was broken. Thousands of slaves were free. The evidence was undeniable. And Earth had shown that they would do whatever it took to protect the innocent. Speaker Velthon finally stood. The Taehyun Accords are ratified. Slavery is now a galactic crime. Earth Defense Forces are authorized to enforce anti-slavery operations in council space. Hiren nodded. Thank you, Speaker. Earth accepts this responsibility. We will not fail those who depend on us. As she left the chamber, she passed a group of freed slaves watching from the gallery. Different species. Different worlds, all united by suffering. One of them, a young Veltharian, reached out. "Thank you," the child said quietly. "Thank you for caring when no one else did." Ayarin knelt down, meeting the child's eyes. "Everyone deserves freedom. Everyone deserves safety. Earth will make sure you have both." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were not just another species. They were guardians, protectors. Warriors when needed, but always for justice, and they would never stop fighting for what was right. Part 5. The New Order 6. Months after Taehyun's rescue, Refuge Point looked completely different. The lower markets where slaves were once sold had been converted into a community center. The auction hall where Kivrex first saw Taehyun now served as a school for freed children from dozens of species. Kivrex stood in front of the building, remembering that day. How scared he had been, how uncertain, how one moment of compassion had changed everything. "Still thinking about it?" a voice asked. Taehyun walked up beside him, looking healthier than he had in months. The bruises were gone. The fear in his eyes had faded. But the determination remained. "Every day," Kivrex admitted. "I bought you thinking I was just freeing one person. I had no idea it would lead to all this." "Neither did I," Taehyun said with a slight smile. "But I'm glad it did. Look at what we built." They walked inside together. The building was full of life now. Children learned mathematics and languages. Adults received job training. Medical staff, mostly human but with volunteers from other species, provided free health care, all funded by Earth and supported by council members who had voted for the Accords. In one classroom, a teacher was explaining Earth's history. Not just the good parts, everything, the wars, the mistakes, the long, painful road to peace. "Earth wasn't always good," the teacher said to her mixed species class. "We fought each other for thousands of years. We enslaved each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves. But we learned. We grew, we changed. And now we use those hard lessons to help others avoid the same mistakes." A young student, a Draconid child who had been rescued from a syndicate facility, raised his hand. "Teacher Minji, is it true that humans still remember all their wars?" Teacher Minji nodded. "We do. We have museums, memorials, records. We never forget because forgetting would mean we might repeat those mistakes. We remember so we can be better." Kivrex and Taehyun continued walking through the building. They passed a memorial wall filled with names. Not just the 300 humans who died on the Star Dancer, but every being who had died in slavery or fighting the syndicate. Thousands of names. Dozens of species. "We made sure everyone was remembered," Taehyun said softly. "Human or not, everyone who suffered mattered." They reached the roof where a ceremony was taking place. Admiral Heerin was there, along with Jia, Captain Bora, and Ambassador Dongmin. Council representatives attended as well, including Speaker Velthon, who looked uncomfortable but present. The ceremony was for the official opening of the Anti-Slavery Task Force headquarters, a permanent human military presence authorized by the Council, dedicated to hunting down remaining slavers and preventing future abuses. Jia, now promoted to Admiral herself, stood at the podium. She looked out at the gathered crowd, beings from hundreds of species all united in purpose. "6 months ago, my brother was taken from his ship and sold like an object," Jia began. That single act of cruelty revealed a truth the galaxy had been ignoring. Slavery still existed, suffering still existed, and too many looked away. She paused, her eyes finding Kivrex in the crowd, but one person didn't look away. A merchant named Kivrex saw a stranger in chains and chose compassion over profit. He chose to help even though it put him at risk. The choice saved my brother, but more than that, it reminded Earth why we fight, why we care, why we never give up. Kivrex felt his face flush with embarrassment as everyone looked at him. He wanted to disappear, but Taehyun put a hand on his shoulder. "You deserve this," Taehyun whispered. "Accept it," Jia continued. "Today we open this facility not as conquerors, but as partners. Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to protect it. We want every being to have the freedom to live without fear. And we're not alone in this mission." She gestured to a group standing beside the podium, freed slaves who had volunteered to join the task force. Not just humans, but Veltharians, Draconids, Zelians, and dozens of other species, all trained, all committed, all ready to ensure others wouldn't suffer as they had. "This task force represents something new," Jia said. "Not human justice, not council justice, but universal justice, The kind that says every sentient being has value, every life matters, and together we'll prove it. The crowd applauded. Kivrex noticed that even Speaker Velthon was clapping, though he still looked uncomfortable. After the ceremony, Ambassador Dong Min approached Kivrex. I heard you've been offered a position as liaison officer. Have you decided? Kivrex hesitated. I'm a merchant. I'm not a diplomat or a soldier. Exactly why we need you, Dong Min replied. You represent what most beings in the galaxy are. Ordinary people trying to live ordinary lives. You understand them. You understand their fears, their concerns. That's more valuable than any military training. But I didn't do anything special, Kivrex insisted. I just helped someone who needed help. Dongmin smiled. That's the most special thing anyone can do. And it's exactly what we want to encourage in the galaxy. Not heroics. Not grand gestures. Just basic compassion. Will you help us teach that? Kivrex looked at Taehyun, who nodded encouragingly. Okay, Kivrex said finally. I'll do it. Later that evening, a smaller gathering took place. Just Kivrex, Taehyun, Jia, and a few close friends. They sat on the roof watching ships come and go from the station. Human patrol vessels, easily identified by Earth's blue and green colors, moved in regular patterns. Protecting, watching, ready. Do you think it will last? Kivrex asked. This peace? This cooperation? Not without work, Jia admitted. Peace never maintains itself. It requires constant effort, constant vigilance. But yes, I think it will last. Because now the galaxy knows. They know that slavery has consequences. They know that cruelty has consequences. They know that Earth keeps its promises. Taehyun leaned back, looking at the stars. I used to think exploring space was about discovering new things. New worlds, new phenomena, new mysteries, and it is. But it's also about discovering who we are, what we stand for, what we're willing to fight for. And what have you discovered? Kivrex asked. That compassion is stronger than I thought, Taehyun replied. One merchant chose kindness. That choice sparked a revolution. It freed thousands. It changed laws. It changed the galaxy, all because you chose to help. I was terrified, Kivrex confessed. I thought I was making a mistake. I thought I might lose everything. But you did it anyway, Jia said. That's courage. Not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jia stood. I should go. The task force ships out tomorrow. First patrol mission. Where to? Taehyun asked. Sector 12. Intelligence suggests possible syndicate remnants operating there. We're going to investigate. She looked at her brother. Will you be okay? Taehyun laughed. I have Kivrex as my official bodyguard now. I'll be fine. After Jia left, Kivrex and Taehyun remained on the roof. In the distance, they could see the memorial wall, illuminated by soft lights. All those names, all those lives, do you ever regret it? Kivrex asked quietly. Everything that happened? The war, the fighting, all of it? Taehyun considered the question carefully. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that people died. But I don't regret the outcome. Look at what we achieved. Slavery is illegal across Council space now. Thousands are free. Children are being educated. Species are working together. All because people refuse to accept cruelty as normal. He turned to Kivrex. You started this, you know. Your choice. Your compassion. Never doubt that what you did mattered. Years later, a monument was erected at Refuge Point. Not a grand statue or imposing structure, just a simple plaque embedded in the floor of what used to be the auction hall. It read, Here one act of kindness changed the galaxy. Here Kivrex of Velthera chose compassion over profit. Here he reminded us that every life has value. Here the revolution began. Not with weapons, not with speeches, but with one person choosing to help another. May we all have such courage when tested. Visitors came from across the galaxy to see it, to remember, to learn, and every child who attended school in that building learned the story of how one merchant saved one human, and how that moment of kindness sparked a fire that burned away centuries of cruelty. Earth kept its patrol routes. The anti-slavery task force remained vigilant. The Taehyun Accords held strong, and while slavery didn't disappear completely, it retreated into shadows, hunted relentlessly by beings from hundreds of species who refused to look away. Kivrex often stood by that plaque, still amazed by what had happened. People called him a hero. Earth gave him medals. The council praised his name. But he never felt like a hero. He had just done what felt right, what anyone should do. And perhaps that was the real lesson. That heroism isn't about grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. It's about choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier, about helping when walking away would be safer, about caring when apathy would be simpler. The galaxy learned that lesson, and it learned it from Earth, a species that had climbed from darkness into light and refused to let others remain in shadow. When you saved a human, Earth declared war, not war for conquest, not war for revenge, but war for justice, war for freedom, war for the simple idea that every being deserves to live without fear, and that war Earth would never stop fighting.